Alrighty. So Rio here. It is week 4 in CIT 82. And I finished this morning grading your week 3 first Monday night items. And I know that some of you ran into a couple issues when using the local dev environments, but I know a couple of you reached out, and I really want to encourage anyone who needs help to reach out, right? My office hours are listed in the syllabus. The sooner you reach out, and really what that also says is that waiting until I'm going to just warning, you know, I'm going to sound like a teacher, which I am, but waiting until the last minute, you can't really get any help. Now, you can get help the next day, and please do. Just know that work is considered late at this point. And it creates a lot of stress, I think, in our lives when we're waiting until the last minute. But I also know sometimes some of us need due dates to get us motivated and focused, right? So figure out a way. I'm just going to tell you this is a life thing, and I am still learning it, is a way to self motivate without needing those due dates. And in a class like this, it's more technical in nature, where you're learning a skill. Waiting till the last minute can really hurt because there's nobody out there to help unless you're using Discord, which I noticed for this class. And this is one of my things I want to ask you about, is that like last semester, students taking this class were pretty active, but this semester, not so much. And I'm curious why. Always wondering. But, I think there's been probably maybe half of this class has joined, but I haven't seen folks, you know, out there asking questions. So maybe it's an intimidation thing. I don't know. You tell me. What keeps you from using Discord? Maybe you don't need it. Maybe the instruction is so good you don't need it. I'm gonna walk away thinking that's why. But if it's not true, please tell me. Okay. So for this item, week 4 in our weekly attendance, I want to talk about a couple things. One is formatting code. When you're writing code, and this was just something I was playing around with. When you're writing code, one of the things, indentation is really good because it makes your code readable. But also, there's things that even if you don't, like if I was to, when I was writing that, tab some of those out, and maybe here I was, when I wrote it, it just didn't. One of the things I like to do, and you can actually set up your browser to do this automatically, or sorry, your editor, in this case VS Code. But you can also just right click. I think this requires no extensions because I looked at my extensions, but you just format the selection. And what it does is it lines these things up. So in general, I recommend making sure you have well formatted code. Okay, so that's the first thing about this week is just use your built-in editor. Well, one of the things I look at when I look at code is how readable it is. This becomes more important when you're doing something like coding. Now, for me, here's how I set up my screen. Like right now, I have VS Code. I'm just gonna make it just a little bigger, just so you can see it just a little bigger. But one of the things I do when I'm coding, and I do use this live server. I definitely recommend it. If you didn't hear that at one point, the reason live server's so helpful is like right now, I have my index page open. I'm working in my GitHub IO site. If I hit go live, right? One of the nice things about this, ooh, I actually just increased my font size on there earlier. I was playing around with it. Oh, minus would be good. Um, oh, I really did increase it. Doesn't really matter. What I do is this is I make one window just my output of what I'm coding, right? So I put that over here and then over here, and I overlay these depending on the size of my screen. Like I'll have both of these things up, right? So that's one thing. And that way, and live server's great in this sense is that what it typically does is it automatically what we call hot reloads, and that's great because then you don't have to come over here, right? You shouldn't be hitting save anyway because that's automatically done for you. That's one thing. So the other thing about the editor, and especially as we're doing more CSS, is you can split this. So you could have your CSS on one side, you could have your HTML on the other, and instead of moving, trying to reopen them or find them each time, it just makes that a little easier. Okay, so that's just the way I work. I definitely have two monitors here. I do have this kind of blown up to exaggerate this a little bit, but that's how when I'm working on things, that's how I go about it because it just makes my life easier. And again, you'll find, right? You'll find what works for you as far as coding goes. But I'm just telling you, what you want to do is figure out how to have code more, move around less, right? Okay, I already asked the question about Discord. And there's new videos for all the content, so I don't feel like I have to go over that. But I do want to ask a favor. There, this semester we're running a kind of a test this semester, quite frankly, is that this class is offered in, of course, what you're taking it in right now, the front nine. We're going to offer it in the back nine, and we're doing that for the first time as to see if we can generate enough interest in this class. So here's my ask. My ask of you is, would you be willing to, if there are people in your life that you feel like, you know what, they would enjoy this class? Because here's my kind of pitch for this class is, even if you're not going into web development or coding or some what we might say adjacent field, right? But especially if you're in something related, like I'm going to pitch this to the students in my cybersecurity classes, because for them, they definitely, the more, because think about how much cybersecurity is related to the web and having an understanding there. But also think about just a general business major and how much of what we're doing these days is on the web. I mean, I would venture to say almost all of it. And having an understanding about what it takes to build websites, what go into them, local dev environments, there's just benefit. Okay, I know I'm biased here. I get it. So here's my ask. Is there somebody in your life you think that would enjoy this class, right? Would you be willing to ask, promote it? Help me promote this class. We need a certain amount of students to make that back nine go. I don't have that number yet, so any I can get would be great. So that's my ask of you. Okay, thank you for letting me do that. Is it a shameless plug? Maybe it's a shameless plug. Okay. So at this point, what I really want to hear though in your reply is any feedback about any of that stuff I've covered so far, but really what I want to understand is like the Discord thing. Because I've really, and I've said this to some of you, and maybe this puts some people off, is like Discord is meant for student to student communication, for you all to talk to each other. And if I'm around, I'll chime in. If you want to talk to me directly, because of my job and my position here on campus, I'm mandated to have those communications between you and I be on a system that's controlled by the campus, and that would be Canvas, right? So all of our communications directly go through Canvas. But if you are working at 10 o'clock at night, or even 8 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter, and you have a question that you feel is probably a question that other students might have, consider, if you're not on Discord, consider getting on. You can go back to week 0 to see that invite. I think it's still active. Let me know if it's not. And consider, you'll also have to ask me, if you're not already in there, how to get into the private channel, because we have a channel just for our class. And then ask questions like, is that intimidating to think about that? Or is it just, like I said before, the instruction is so good you don't need it? Again, I'm gonna sleep well tonight hoping that's the answer, but I also would love to see more interaction out there. Anyway, I'm in my office today, not at home, and I hope to see and meet many of you soon. We're in week 4. We're approaching the halfway point of the semester. We're making a major change this week. No, sorry, next week we will make another major switch. We're going to finish the HTML CSS this week, which, by the way, if you're taking these courses in series or through and getting a degree or a certificate, right? The next logical class you're going to take is only HTML and CSS. So as you get like introduced here to those concepts, you'll get drilled on those concepts and go even deeper, I hope, in your in based on what I know of Todd McLeod and the way he teaches it, you will walk away with a much better understanding than you're going to get here. But it's always good to get introduced to things, and that's what happens with these 4 parts that we're doing through DevEd. Okay, I am going to be quiet now. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.